Hey, this is Brian Hegney, instructor of game and interactive media design. There is one last thing I totally forgot to do, and that is align my picture so that the center of his body is in the center of my scene. And I'm doing that really to make everything so much easier to center my guy. So I'm placing him here. I'm going to tap the L button to go to my left and just make sure I place him on the center as well. That was okay. That was good. Now he's ready. I'm going to click the freeze button. Now before I start modeling, I want to show one other thing, and it's a really helpful material to make that is animated. So we're going to get a little bit into animation, but not much. We are going to create a blue material. Okay, it's going to drag out the standard material, drag it in here, double click that little material box, and I'm going to rename this blue. And I'm not going to do anything with the opacity yet. Opacity is 100, that's fine. I'm going to set the diffuse color to blue by clicking on the gray area, going into blue, and something like that. Say OK. And I'm going to increase the specular a little bit. All right. And from there, I'm going to create a cylinder. Okay, so I'm going to close that, and I'm going to create a cylinder in a new layer. So I'm going to click Create New Layer, and I'm going to call this layer Standard Mail, because that's the name of the file, Standard Mail. And with this little layer selection is highlighted in green, it is the one that it's going to create the cylinder in. So if you had reference planes actually selected and you went to cylinder and created a cylinder, it would be frozen, and so we wouldn't be able to select it. And you'd be like, why? Well, it's because I accidentally created it in the reference planes layer, which is frozen. So I can drag this out anytime I want into standard mail. There we go. Now I can see it. And what I'm going to do is apply this material, this blue material, to it. Now, it is blue right now. It just is accidentally blue. So if I were to have created a different cylinder, oh, look what it did. It actually created it in the other one again. There we go. There, now it's purple. Okay, good. All I wanted to do was like drag this blue standard material onto the cylinder and have it change. Good. Okay. Now we've got a blue cylinder. And the question is, when I am in front mode, like, you're not going to be able to see your reference image. So you could go into your material editor and change the opacity of that blue thing, and now your blue material is see-through. Well, guess what? That's a lot of work, so I'm not going to do that. I am going to keep my material editor open in a sense, but I'm going to use the timeline to animate opacity, because we can animate opacity of a material. And it's going to lay down keyframes. So we're going to do this really quickly. Number one, open up your material editor with the material that you want to animate. Make sure it's double-clicked and that we're looking at the opacity here. Keep it at 100. Drag your timeline to 100, the value of 100. That's 100 frames. It doesn't matter if you have 1 billion frames, 2 frames, 30 frames. I have 100 here. I'm just going to use 100. I'm going to turn on auto key. Auto key is a fast way of keyframing. And what it's going to do is, if you make a change in anything, whether it's the color, whether it's specular, glossiness, it's going to lay a keyframe here at 100 and also lay a keyframe at 0 for the original. It's just a faster way of doing things. All I'm going to do is change opacity now to 0 with auto key selected. With auto key, you don't have to push these add keys or set keys or anything like that. It's just make a change, and you can see it added a black keyframe at 100 and it added a black keyframe at 0. X. Now with keyframes still enabled, I can actually see what that looks like. Yay, drag that back and forth. Yay, from fully opaque to fully transparent. Uncheck that auto key button so the animation timeline isn't red anymore, and we still have this really handy dandy tool to turn a material transparent. Okay, next video we will get to modeling, I promise.